Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. And we have Dan here in the mirror match, sneak and show, mulling down to, it looked like 5-4. It was real low. Not looking good for him. We'll see how Connor goes. He stayed at 6. Will that be out of fear of mulliganing? Or will that be because he actually has a good 6 and 3 mana, but passing the turn? So Sneak and Show, a very powerful deck. Could have possibly ended the game with 3 mana. Instead, passing with an Ancient Tomb out. Not typical for Ancient Tomb to come down first. Usually you play your other lands, and it looks like Connor actually doesn't have any colored lands. Gonna burn that Lotus Petal. Did not find a land. Oh, actually, there you go. Random off the top from that shuffle on Ponder. One of the times where Ponder is better than Brainstorm. Would have been in a world of hurt. Now, Connor down a card from that Lotus Petal. Needing to use that for a cantrip. But he's found his land, firing off a Preordain. And passing back. Turns going back and forth here. Both players struggling. More blue mana for Connor. As this becomes more clear, Connor may regret not having a Volcanic Island out. Sneak Attack, one of the strongest cards in the matchup. Show and tell, a very dangerous card to play in the mirror. Some players going so far as boarding it out. Though Omniscience does make that a more complicated situation. Flinching first, often a problem. The deck does have copies of cards like Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce to go along with their Force of Wills, so it can be difficult to resolve any key cards on the first go around. And when the shields are down post counter war, sometimes your opponent can just strike back for the win. Here we go, Dan tapping out for Sneak Attack, Connor brushing that aside with a Spell Pierce. And this may be exactly what I was talking about. The shields are down. Jace the Mind Sculptor. And now Brainstorming. This Jace will be able to function as serious defense on the stack, finding a bunch of counter spells. And once Connor feels comfortable with his position, he'll be able to use it as a win condition as well. Lotus Petal, adding to his mana, perhaps enabling Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce again. City of Traders and Dan with all the mana in the world, but passing the turn. Connor, so many cards here, trying to figure out where to go from here. Putting 2 back with his Jace, I think will still leave him needing to play some cards. Tapping for 2, City of Traders. And he's going to go ahead and cast Show and Tell. Sneak Attack, Omniscience on the other side, putting in Emrakul. Swinging. Oh, and Dan does not have the Cunning Wish kill in hand. That was a very dangerous situation. Sneak Attack, putting in this Emrakul, Annihilator, wiping out Dan's entire board. And he is going to go ahead and scoop it up for the next game. That Jace going to either ensure another creature coming in to finish off those 2 points of life, or even just Fate Seal and wrap it up that way. Either way, however Connor wanted to play it, firmly in the driver's seat with Dan with no permanence. But that was actually a dangerous situation. Depending on Dan's build, Cunning Wish can actually kill at instant speed. Depending on the build, they have Release the Ants, which in the mirror is not as guaranteed as other matchups. You can end up both with Emrakuls on top of the library. There are a few other decks that sometimes run Emrakul. That kill a little bit harder. And now on the play, going to hope to have a better 7. Mulling deep there definitely hurt him a lot. Sneak and Show. It's one of those decks that really relies on cantrips to make the deck actually function. So you need your 1 mana slot for your Preordains, Ponders, Brainstorms, just because so many of the cards don't do anything on their own. You can contrast that with a deck like Storm, which is going to repeatedly cast 1 casting cost cards like Dark Ritual, Duresses in order to get rid of opposing counter magic. Really just kind of load up playing a bunch of different spells. Whereas Sneak Attack, those cantrips are really trying to sculpt the perfect hand, and that may only involve, just having, say, Show and Tell and Omniscience. So you may only need to play a single spell, which makes Chalice of the Void and similar strategies potentially just phenomenal against it, but sometimes you just get got anyways. You'll open up on a Chalice at 1, and they can just go, Lotus Petal, City of Traders, kill you. Which makes it very different than other combo decks. It gets a reputation for being very easy to play, but I do believe the reality with this deck is there's a pretty wide margin in between just kind of run-of-the-mill average play and a true expert with the deck. You can definitely get in a bunch of extra percentage points with tight play, really understanding, of course, how your deck works, but being an expert on the format in general. Connor passing back after that Ponder and building his mana base. Fetch lands untapped. No cantrips yet. Connor's body language perhaps indicating that he would have rather cracked that fetch land prior. Not sure if he already has another combo piece in hand. And now Dan assembling the best combo in the game, Brainstorm and Fetchland. Gonna optimize his hand here. Draw 3, putting back the 2 worst cards. It is so good in Sneak and Show. So many of those cards just absolutely terrible on their own or as redundant copies. Having multiple Emeralds or Gristlebrands very rarely worth keeping in your hand. Jace the Mind Sculptor, a card that I've liked for quite some time in Sneak and Show. Just another card that can actually win the game, but in a kind of lateral move. And Brainstorming in response to this Sneak Attack. Not the first option that you'd expect. And Dan soul reading Connor here, just Force of Wills a Brainstorm instead of waiting for the counter spell. Oh no, he's got the Spell Pierce. So Flusterstorm the Spell Pierce, kind of, and now Force of Will back. So there we go. That looked like some kind of a just magical soul read. Dan though aiming that Force of Will at the Brainstorm and is punished for it. Thought he had a read on Connor. That Brainstorm essentially working as bait. And perhaps Dan would have been able to resolve that sneak attack if he had played it slightly different. Now he's facing a sneak attack on the other side of the table. Dueling with this sneak attack is a Goblin Crater Maker. You guys going to be able to get Emrakul out of there. Did see an Emrakul in Connor's hand. One of the rare times where multiple Emrakuls would be welcome. And now Surgical hitting the hand is devoid of these sneak attacks. Connor did let that draw step happen, hoping to snag a sneak attack in hand. Get even more value out of it, depriving Dan of a card draw. Now a show and tell here for Dan. Not sure why Trader Maker is not getting in there. Force of Will pitching show and tell. And now he does start getting in there. Vendilion Click, that's the reason why. Absolutely brutal. Emrakul swinging off of that sneak attack. Connor clearing out that Crater Maker with his Vendilion Click, blocking at instant speed. And Connor taking this one down in 2 with some back-breaking plays. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.